Hello everyone, back into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week, same days. For today's second video, that will take us to around the 24th of February, and we'll be able to set up beyond that the extended GFS and ECL ensembles running to around a couple of weeks, taking us pretty much to the end of the month. And we'll have a look at the CFSV2 for March at the end of the video. Beginning with all of the latest developments with Storm Dennis, and I'll bring you up to date with that very shortly. Just say that JMA Friday has been released. That's a month-ahead look ahead, taking us into the first half of March. So have a look at that and see what's going on there. So we're going to begin with facts charts from the UK Met Office. These are the human interpretations of models by forecasters at the UK Met. This is facts chart for 6 AM tomorrow morning, Saturday morning. And you can see that Storm Dennis is already winding itself up in the middle of the North Atlantic, down to 927 millibars, very deep area of low pressure. And its weather is beginning to head in from off the Atlantic as well, in towards the west of Ireland, through the early morning on Saturday. We have got this little weather system just here. That's going to be quite weak, but it could produce a little bit of showery rain through the morning. But it'll be these more active weather fronts in the west that are really going to bring the rain in from the west through the course of Saturday. So that's the facts chart for midday tomorrow. We've got active weather fronts heading into the west, so it will be turning very wet across western parts of the country. Really tightly packed isobars as well, so it's going to be turning increasingly windy. It's a long fetch southwesterly. We're dragging the air up from the central part of the Atlantic with this area of low pressure, so it'll be a very mild day, but of course not necessarily feeling so with the strength of wind and also with the rains, particularly western areas that get the heavy rain through the course of tomorrow. There will be showery bursts pushing eastwards as well, but I think in eastern areas the rain is going to be on and off, quite sporadic, and at times often fairly drizzly in nature. In the west will be very wet on the western side of hills and slopes and high ground. Will be very, very wet and windy in the west through the course of tomorrow. And then sort of late Saturday into Sunday, we find this cold front pushing southwards, but starting to get a bit stuck across England and Wales, so it'll turn increasingly wet, heavy outbreaks of rain on through most of the night across England and Wales on Saturday. And also, of course, driven in by these strong winds. Gusts of wind, widely 40, 50, possibly 60 miles an hour inland. Late Saturday into Sunday, around coastal areas, 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts certainly can't be ruled out. So it could be a very, very wet and windy spell of weather with Storm Dennis. That's the facts chart for midnight Saturday to Sunday. This is the facts chart for midday on Sunday. You see how slowly these cold fronts are clearing away. So you can take a time to push that rain through. And again, many parts of particularly central, southern and southeastern England can have a very wet morning on Sunday. It'll take until Sunday afternoon to really push that rain out of the way. Once it gets out of the way, then we're into a colder, showery air mass again, with winds coming in from the northwest. And we could bring these troughs into the northwest as well, which enhance the showers, and they probably turn increasingly wintry, even to low levels from Sunday into Monday. There could be another spell of severe gales across some parts of Scotland on Sunday night into Monday morning as well. So it's a proper old dose of wild weather coming up again. These are the latest wind gusts from the latest GFS run at Weather Outlook. This is for starting 9 o'clock this morning, so not too bad. A bit breezy, a bit windy up the western side, but not too bad with winds today. They get to around 50, 60 miles an hour around those Irish Sea coasts. And then transferring eastwards overnight or into the evening and overnight, winds will die down a little bit. And then tomorrow you get the first push of strong winds up the western side through the morning, 60, 70 mile an hour gusts possible up the Irish Sea. Get a bit windy across many parts of the country with sort of 40 mile an hour gusts through the wind, and then through the morning. And then the wind strengthens further into the afternoon, widely across the country, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts, again up to around 70 miles an hour around those western coasts. And the wind keeps on coming into the evening and probably strengthens us a bit more across England and Wales, of course, of Saturday evening. Again, we talked about sort of 70-mile-an-hour gusts around the southern western coast, inland gusts around 50, 60 miles an hour. It's enough to cause damage and disruption. Not quite as bad as the 80, 90-mile-an-hour gusts that we had with Storm Kira, but nevertheless, it's enough to cause really quite significant problems, and also, of course, accompanied by the heavy rain, which is the other story with this. Another push of very strong winds around the western coastal areas early on Sunday, again up to around 70, possibly 80 miles an hour then, around some of these western coasts of Wales. That looks very nasty. And then through the course of Sunday morning, the worst of winds then clearing away to the southeast. Winds go, I mean, still windy, we're still talking about sort of 30-mile-an-hour gusts, but not as bad as it is overnight Saturday into Sunday. Although there is another push of very strong winds coming in across Scotland on Sunday night and into Monday. Again, wind gusts going up to around 70 miles an hour for some of those southern parts of Scotland, through the central lowlands perhaps. So it's a wild old spell, and it is enough to be causing disruption across parts of the country tomorrow night and into Sunday as well. This Albia Page is forecast things. Again, we're at the weather outlook, so we find that not too bad with wind until sort of tomorrow morning. That's when the winds start to strengthen, becoming strong, reaching severe gale force in western areas through the course of Saturday afternoon. Gale force gusts elsewhere across the country, and those strong winds keep going, particularly in the south and southwest into Sunday, before they ease off a little bit through the course of Sunday afternoon, and then we get another push of very strong winds Sunday evening across more northern areas. Again, 60, 70, 80 mile an hour gusts certainly possible. So it is looking really quite nasty with this spell of weather, to say the least. That's not the only story, though, with this situation, because, of course, we've also got rain to be concerned about. So let's just see how the GFS is forecasting precipitation to develop. So if we go here, we can see that going to have a bit of rain in the south, push south across the country tonight, and then into tomorrow. Well, it turns very wet across these western areas by midday tomorrow. Much of Scotland, Ireland, northwest England, Wales, southwest England, thoroughly wet there. Notice towards the east and the southeast, the rain looks more showery in nature, but pulses of heavy rain keep coming on this western side. So certainly through tomorrow, the wettest weather will be in the west. Most places really quite damp by the end of Saturday, and then another pulse of really heavy rain from Saturday night into Sunday. This one focused particularly on England, Wales, through sort of southwest England, Wales and Midlands, those kind of areas. Very bright colours in with that, so some very wet weather indeed through Saturday night and Sunday morning across much of England and Wales. Further north, it's turning clearer, but also turning colder. Showers are turning wintry across west of Scotland and down into northwest England once again. And look how long it takes to get rid of this rain, though. 6 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, still pouring with rain in this far southeastern corner. It's not until sort of after dark on Sunday that we finally get rid of it, and then we're left with these heavy wintry showers in the northwest, primarily as snow across Scotland, and those wintry showers then keep coming through Monday and into Tuesday as well. Very similar, in very similar areas to where they were through the early part of this week. We have got weather warnings in force at the UK Met. So this is the UK weather warnings page. This is for tomorrow, for Saturday. Loads of different coloured warnings. We've got yellow warnings for wind across many parts of the country, and amber warnings for rain in specific areas. So there's an amber rain warning down here across parts of southwest England and also across parts of Wales. There's also an amber warning for rain across northern parts of England as well. If we zoom out, we can go further north and see that there is an amber warning for rain just there. That's kind of like on the border between Scotland and England. Yellow warnings for rain also in other areas. Yellow warnings for wind. It really is the amber warnings that are most concerning, and they are for rain actually, with Storm Dennis from midday tomorrow through to 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. They're saying Storm Dennis is expected to bring heavy rain and flooding and disruption to travel later Saturday. So homes and businesses are likely to be flooded, causing damage to some buildings. Fast flowing and deep floodwater is likely causing danger to life. Delays and some cancellation to trains and bus services are likely. Spray and flooding probably leading to difficult driving conditions and some road closures. Good chance of communities becoming cut off by flooded roads, and also power cuts and loss of other services to homes and businesses are likely. That's Saturday's warning. We also have an amber warning in force for Sunday as well. Again, loads of those in pretty much the same areas, again, with the amber rain warning. So southern parts of England, southwest England, Wales, northwestern parts of England under that amber warning for rain, and going further northwards too. Excuse me, that's in force from midday tomorrow until 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. So all in all, it's a wild spell of weather. Storm Dennis will be making its presence felt as early as tomorrow morning. Things get worse through the course of Saturday into Saturday night, and then nasty, wet, windy day, or morning anyway, on Sunday for England and Wales. By the end of Sunday, things will be calming down, and then we go back into colder and more showery conditions once again. So it's going to be a case of all eyes on Storm Dennis tomorrow, which will be causing a lot of problems. Right then, so just having a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're all wet central today. Mild average at the moment. The upper air temperatures have gone mild, will be very mild tomorrow. Then they drop Sunday into Monday. For the early part of next week, it becomes colder again. A little bit of a cold snap showing up. Second half of next week, we turn things milder. I mean, to the last week of February, possibly signs of a drop in the temperature coming along. Once again, precipitation-wise, that's sort of the rain associated with Storm Dennis, so not only windy, also very wet with this area of low pressure, and then a drier spell when we have this cooler interlude just here in the more extended range. A little bit on the unsettled side, really, as we go into the last week of February. There's no sign of a sustained, very dry period of weather, but I think there will be higher pressure in there at times, especially for more southern parts of the country. Temperature anomalies from the 14th to 22nd of February, milder than average. It's going to be basically a milder than average week coming up. Precipitation anomalies from the 14th to 22nd of February, wetter than average across most parts of the country. That's how the GFS looks for Monday. We've got rid of Storm Dennis by Monday, and we're into this cold, showery west-northwesterly with the air coming out of Greenland. Once again, very similar to conditions to what we've had for the early part of this week, during the early part of next week. Showery and quite cold on Tuesday as well, and then a ridge of high pressure tries to build from the south Wednesday, but doesn't really come off. Low pressure just rolls in over the top. Heading up towards day 10, so this is Saturday 22nd of February. Then a ridge is building across France, down to Spain and Portugal. Low pressure still quite intense to the north of the country around Iceland, and bringing up those very mild west or southwest winds. Bit dry for southern parts of the country, probably still quite unsettled up in the north. That's how we look at day 10. Again, quite westerly. Should be reasonably dry, I would have thought, down in the south at this point, 24th of February. Further north, probably still quite unsettling. The more extended range, you have a go at pulling off a bit of a cold snap, but it struggles. Eventually, we do get 22nd of February. We move low pressure into Scandinavia and turn the winds into the north, but only temporarily. But that is a bit of a cold snap there during the closing days of February with a bit of a northerly interlude, but it doesn't last very long at all. And by the end of this particular GFS run, which does get us today to the 1st of March, can you believe? By the very end of it, we are starting to bring up a milder west or southwesterly wind once again as high pressure sinks southwards. GM looks like that, so cold and showery and windy through the early part of next week. Then we try and raise some higher pressure to our south, but actually low pressure just keeps coming in off the Atlantic through to the end of next week. And then moving up towards day 10, we remain unsettled. Driest conditions will be in the south, most unsettled up in the north, and all areas will be looking mild. ECMWF looks like that, so cold and showery on Monday, and we keep these cold showery conditions going through to Tuesday as well. A little bit drier for Wednesday into Thursday for the south, still unsettled up in the north, and basically we keep things pretty flat moving up towards day 10. This is Saturday 22nd of February. High pressures across France, low pressure is still around Iceland. We're bringing in mild west-southwest winds. The only difference is that it's a little bit drier down across England and Wales in particular. Up to day 10, that's how we're looking So to this point, still mild or very mild. Next low pressure bring more rain into west. Probably reasonably dry still down in the south. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 24th of February. So you have 17 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure, high pressure I should say, to the south, and low pressure is to our north up here. We're bringing in a mild west or southwesterly winds. 17 again. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, that's going to be mild, but driest conditions in the south, wettest conditions in the north. 10 with low pressure, a little bit further north with Bowes 10 with the low pressure, and the high pressure is a bit further north too, so that's a slightly drier option. And fairly mildish as well. That includes the operational run today as well. And 7 with high pressure continue to be to our south and low pressure to the north. Again, that's probably a drier but fairly mild option once again. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to 29th of February. You have 21 members of the ECM ensembles then, with a trough of low pressure over and just to our east, a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge. That's unsettled and colder. Winds are in from the northwest there as you go to the closing day of closing days of the month. And we've also got 20 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure out to our west-northwest, so that's very unsettled, but it's milder, bringing in the winds from the westerly direction. 10 with low pressure around Iceland, but also extending down western side of Europe. That's trying to pull up a bit of a colder snap as well. There are a few hints that the last day or two of February may have a cold snap. If it does turn cold, I suspect it will only be a day or two, and then we'll be back into milder conditions. Finally, the CFSV2 for March is looking like this, with 700 millibar height anomaly for March 2020. It's actually looks a little bit more anticyclonic than we've had for a while. Above average heights extending up from the Azores into the UK and covering much of Northern Europe as well. There is still deep low pressure, but it's sort of being pushed northwards up towards Greenland and Iceland a little bit more, and the jet stream being pushed northwards as well. So it's the same broad basic pattern that we've been in all winter, right from the start of winter. It's still going on into March. The only difference is that it's slightly drier as high pressure is building up from the Azores and from southern parts of Europe. So very mild potentially. This could be a very mild pattern for March, but drier than we've had over the past few months, or less unsettled, let's say. And temperature anomalies for March looking like that, so a milder than average month being forecast yet again. Precipitation anomalies for March look like this, close to average. I suspect that's probably right, because although the high pressure is building up from the south, meaning a drier month than we've had in recent months, it's still very deep low pressure that we've got there around Greenland and Iceland, and there would undoubtedly be occasions where the high pressure would slip south and east and allow the low pressure in. So I suspect quite a changeable mixed month, with probably drier and milder spells offsetting one another a little bit to some degree. The main thing will be very mild temperatures for March, bringing a very mild start to the spring. Right, that's it for your videos for today. Tomorrow we'll have a weekend forecast, have a week to 10-day video update coming up tomorrow as well. And on Sunday we've got some more analogues for the spring, have ensembles watch, and also we'll have Gaz of his study roundup as well. So lots going on over the weekend. Do keep checking back to all of it. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.